horror manga recommendations that aren't just Junji Ito. Don't get me wrong, I love Junji Ito, I have all of his books, and I'm even wearing one of his t-shirts. Everybody already knows that Ito is the GOAT, so let's expand our horizons, starting with Kazuo Umezz. The Drifting Classroom is his magnum opus. It was originally published in 1972, and was actually read by Junji Ito when he was a child. Speaking of children, hundreds of them die in this story about an entire school going missing. This is an absolutely thrilling manga from start to finish that effortlessly maintains a quick and intense pace throughout all three of these deluxe hardcover volumes that were translated by Viz a couple of years ago. Viz have also started translating Orochi. These gorgeous hardcover anthologies collect short stories featuring Orochi, who is kind of like Umezz's Tomie, except she has magical hands and she's not evil, I think. Earlier this month, Viz announced that they will be translating The Cat-Eyed Boy by Kazuo Umezz, and I hope they translate everything he ever wrote. Now, when I say Rumiko Takahashi, you probably think of light-hearted rom-coms like Urusei Yatsura and Maison Ikkoku. Maybe you think of slightly darker Inuyasha, but did you know she wrote a horror series too? Mermaid Saga might actually be my favorite Takahashi series that I've read so far. It follows Yuta and Mana, two humans who ate the flesh of a mermaid and became immortal. But not everybody who eats mermaid flesh becomes immortal. Some of them turn into bloodthirsty, hideous monsters. The series brings together Japanese legends, plus the sadness and boredom that comes with being immortal. The series is only 2 volumes long, making it one of the easiest Takahashi series to get into. And if you want more Rumiko Takahashi monster books, I can definitely recommend her most recent series, Mao. The last book I'm going to recommend today, and don't worry, I have plenty more recommendations coming up very soon, is Be Very Afraid of Kanako Inuki. Kanako Inuki is considered the queen of horror manga. And Kodansha just released this anthology of 8 short stories. If you're a fan of the funny side of Junji Ito, you'll also enjoy Inuki's hilarious and terrifying tales. And I hope Kodansha translates some more of her work soon. Come back next week for more horror manga recommendations that aren't just Junji Ito, Part 2. Let's start with one of my favorite authors, Shigeru Mizuki. Mizuki is most famous as the creator of Kitaro, the adorable monster boy who stops other yokai from spreading evil. Drawn and Quarterly have released 7 volumes of the manga, and they're all full of fun and occasionally bittersweet comics about monsters that I would recommend to anyone over the age of 10. Drawn and Quarterly have also released Tono Monogatari, which is Mizuki's adaptation of a book from 1910 called The Tales of Tono. Basically, this book is an encyclopedia of yokai. You should also check out Nononba, which is about Mizuki learning about yokai for the first time as a child from tales told by his grandma. And once you've read these, you can move on to the real horrors of war. Did somebody say gay cult Frankenstein? If those 3 words resonated with you, then I highly recommend tracking down Light She Light Club by Usamaru Furuya. This cult classic manga was based on a play, and still feels biting and relevant almost 20 years after it first came out. One of the most beautiful books I own is The Strange Tale of Panorama Island by Suehiro Maruo. Maruo is famous for some titles that are far more shocking than this one, and while this story does definitely contain moments of nudity, violence, and sexual violence, at its heart this is a dark mystery story with jaw-dropping but slightly unsettling art, and an absolutely explosive finale. I know zombie comics are a dime a dozen, but none of them are as funny as Tokyo Zombie by Yusaku Hanakuma. As well as being a skilled martial artist, Hanakuma is a pioneer of Heta Uma manga, which translates into so bad it's good. His crude and funny storytelling makes for one of the most stupidly entertaining books I've read in a long while. This is one of the few books by Shintaro Kago that I can show on TikTok. Karo specializes in erotic grotesque manga, but Dementia 21 is an anthology of stories about Yuki, a young care worker who is sent to look after a series of increasingly weird and terrifying old people. While this collection is considerably tamer than Kago's other works, it still gets pretty damn weird and creepy. Dementia 21 was published by Fantagraphics and features some insane color pages in the back. My final recommendation is Witches. This collection of short stories about witchcraft was written and drawn by Daisuke Igarashi before he made Children of the Sea. This book has a very global feel to it. One story is set in the Middle East, another in the Amazon. One of them even features a witch going to space. Each story is so mysterious and unique, and I'd have trouble telling you which one was my favorite. Just kidding, obviously it was the space one. If I've missed your favorite horror manga, let me know what it is in the comments.